Welcome to the Marvelous Moms Club podcast, where you'll be not only allowed, but encouraged to dream big dreams and imagine the very best future for yourself and your family. Throw away expectations and perfection and embrace the messy beauty of what it means to be a marvelous mom. I'm your host, Kirsten Tyrell, and I can't wait to help you discover what makes you marvelous. Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode. I'm really excited for this one. I feel like deep down been anticipating this interview for a really long time, probably longer than you even realize, Alison. But I admire you, and you're just one of those people that it's like a mythical creature. You hear about it a lot, and then you're not sure it actually exists, and then you meet it, you see it, and you're like, you are real. You're a real human. Please let me encounter your greatness. That's what I feel about you.
So come on over, because you'll find out the real me is just like hot mess in her pajamas, just going day by day.
Aren't we all though? The difference between most of us in our hot mess and pajamas is that you're accomplishing really, really huge things, which I'm so excited to share your backstory. So before we jump in too much, you guys, this is Alison Prince, the Alison Prince. If you don't know who I'm talking about, pause and go Google her, because she is amazing, and she's so inspiring for the entrepreneur-minded person like me who just wants to like accomplish all my big goals and dreams. And you know, you have to find somebody to align yourself with. You have to see that it's happened for somebody, and it's kind of like that quasi mentor where you're not talking to me all the time and mentoring me, but you just need like that paradigm shift of like, this exists. There's somebody who's accomplished these kinds of things. I can do this too. And that's kind of what you are to me without you really probably even knowing it or being aware of it. There's small conversations we've had have really impacted me in a big way. So I'm excited for everybody else to get to hear from you. So long-winded welcome. Thanks for being here, Alison.
Yes, that is such a huge compliment. Thank you. Sometimes you feel like you do work and you've got this feeling that you're supposed to be helping and serving other people. And then sometimes Satan gets in your head or the dark gets in your head. Yeah. And so to be able to hear this just makes it so powerful, and just it keeps me going day after day, even with all the ugly trolls online. So I really appreciate you saying that.
Good. Well, it's good to hear. It is true. It's like good to know that you're making a little bit of a dent, because a lot of times what we do, it's like motherhood too, right? It's kind of thankless until way down the line. And then your kids tell you some things and you're like, oh my gosh, you were listening. You were paying attention. It did something. It wasn't for nothing. So if you can get those little snippets along the way, and I can give that to you in any form or capacity, then I'm very happy to be able to do that.
You know, it's funny. I actually have a nice folder where I screenshot nice things that come through.
Oh my gosh.
Because we're human beings, right? We crave someone being nice. And when you go out on social media, you just set yourself up for vulnerability. And you've got people who say the dumbest things like, Alison, your eyebrows are crooked. You don't think I know my eyebrows are crooked, or whatever it is, right? Like they just beat you up. And there are some days where you're like, I got to go to a happy spot. And I think like that's the whole ecosystem of running a business, is you've got to be able to have that place where you can pull yourself back up and keep moving forward when all those trolls, and maybe it's not even like online trolls, but even the trolls in your head that are saying like self-doubting or wondering if you're going in the right direction or anything like that, you've got to have a place to come back to as a reminder that you really are going in the right path. And do you know, like it happens with everybody, the newbies all the way up to Jennifer Lopez, who doubts her albums before she releases it, which I'm like, Jennifer Lopez has an imposter syndrome? What? Right? It's just a human feeling to feel that. And so once we recognize it and then can pick ourselves up out of that, we can just move forward so much faster.
I love that. I'm going to actually do that, because that's like a blessing that comes from putting out good things, is you always will get the great feedback. And I'm always blown away by the people who take the time to just send a thoughtful, thankful email, because they don't need to do that. They can just sit there and absorb the good. And I'm always so astounded by the people who will sit down and write a lengthy email, not just like a paragraph or a quick sentence, even though those are amazing too. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to create a nice folder, because it's amazing how powerful the darkness can be in telling you, what are you even trying to do? Even though we have this evidence of other great things we've done, that it's worth it and it's good, It's so
Yep.
dumb how easily pulled down we are. So I think that's great. I mean, there we go. We can end the podcast right there. There's your hottest tip of the day. Start a nice folder.
Right? We do it
No.
as like a mom of children. Whenever they write us love notes, we keep them, we treasure them, right? Or if
Mhm.
our husband, if he or when he writes love notes, we treasure them. And then when we're
Mhm.
having a bad day, we go back to them. Like it's the same thing in business. Like
Yeah.
we just need it to lift ourselves up. And I've
Yeah.
also screenshotted a couple of the mean ones. And I put them in a folder. So if they ever run for president one day, just kidding.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. She's got dirt, you guys. Don't think you can hide. Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so let's give everybody a little bit of background and backstory because I'm talking about how great you are and you get this great feedback and this negative feedback, and people might be like, for what? Like, what have you done, Allison? So, first of all, because I do plan to air this on Marvelous Moms and on the Kirsten Tyrell podcast, I want to hear about your family life because I think it's important to know that you've got a lot going on at home. It's not just that you've had this freedom and flexibility to build a, massive business. What's home life like?
All right. So do you want me to start in the beginning of this journey?
Yeah, let's do it all the way
Okay.
back.
So I did what I was told in high school about how to be financially independent, and that was to go to college. And so I went to college, got my degree, super excited about it, got my first job as a junior high school teacher to find out a month later that I qualified for food stamps.
Oh.
And I was like, what the heck? Like if I can't even qualify to pay for my own food, how am I supposed to like pay for a car that works? Because I was driving the worst car ever. I swear it was like, where you had to use your feet to run with it.
Flintstone car?
Yes, thank you. And then we were renting my husband's grandma's house, and I'm like, how do people even afford a house? I mean, I apparently can't even pay for my own food at this point. And so I just like we were living off pennies at that point in our life. We had a new baby, and I just started reading free books from the library and magazines, finding out how people could actually make a living. And this whole online thing was just starting to brew, which tells you that my age, but it was just starting to brew, right? And not a lot of people knew about it yet. And I'm like, hey, I got to do something online. I got to figure something out. And it took me a little while for things to click. And so by the time I had 4 babies, I started a blog with some friends, and the blog was doing fine, but it wasn't generating money, and we needed it to generate money. So I decided to launch an e-commerce store, and I had done a ton of research on how to generate money from online. I found e-commerce, selling products online, was the best way and the fastest way to bring in money. But everything that I read said you had to have money. You had to have money to buy inventory. You had to have a lot of inventory. Well, going back to the story, I mean, I had 4 babies at this time, right? I'm at the stage of where I'm trying to let my kids wear their diapers just like a little bit longer. So I have to go out and buy a new pack of diapers. And we're buying the generic Cheerios, and I'm trying to figure out how to get creative in serving Cheerios for dinner once again, right? Like, no, we weren't starving. It wasn't like poverty at that point. It was just like we were one dishwasher breakage away from going into debt. And I hated that feeling. I just felt like the chains were just wrapped around, and I couldn't move. And so what I did is I looked around my makeshift office that I had, and I found a roll of vinyl lettering. Do you know what that is? Okay, for those of you guys that don't, it's like this sheet of black sticky paper. Plastic, and you can cut it out and you put it on a wall. Well, I didn't even have a cutter. And so I decided to take this roll of vinyl that was actually headed to the trash can, and I cut it up into strips, and I sold this vinyl with a vision of what you could do with this vinyl lettering. Put it up online, and I sold out. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is magical. And I made like $200 or $300. I'm dancing around with a baby on the hip, another baby that's holding on to my leg. This is so great. And I'm so excited because I had tapped into this magical, mythical world of online sales, right?
Yeah.
And then it hit me. I sold out. I don't have anything else to sell. And so then like the fear comes over me. And so the next morning or that night, I'm like, hey, what am I going to sell? What am I going to sell? So I'm rummaging through my old craft supplies and I find some Gable boxes from one of my child's old birthday parties. And I decided, I'm like, okay, I'm going to sell these. They were new. I hadn't used them. They were just left over. Put them up
Mhm.
online. I didn't sell them. I'm like, dang it. Okay, that's
Doesn't
okay.
work
We're going to do it
anymore.
so the third day I tried it again. I don't remember what the product was. I didn't sell. And so I came home that night because we were up camping while I'm driving to the nearest hotel to even find Wi-Fi at 5 o'clock in the morning before my kids wake up, right? We get home from camping and that night I was like, okay, I'm just not cut out for this.
Mhm.
I was a one hit wonder. I got lucky. I made $200-300. I should be happy about that. Maybe I need to go back to teaching, but then they pay pennies, so it wouldn't even pay for daycare. So my mind was just like all over the place, right?
Mhm.
And I get this inspiration from God that was very clear and very, it was like a swift kick in the butt.
Mhm.
And it was like, Allison, you can't stop. No, don't stop. Keep going. Keep going. And so I gradually kind of like woke up the next morning at 5 a.m. to post my products at 7 a.m. before my kids got up at 7:30. Like this was all planned around my child's
Of
schedule,
course.
my
Yeah.
children's schedule, right?
Yeah.
And the fourth day we ended up selling out. And so at that point, I realized that the entrepreneur journey was a roller coaster. And
Mhm.
I had to decide at that moment, am I in the roller coaster ride, sitting in the front seat, or am I just going to be on the sidelines? And I
Mhm.
decided at that point to get in the roller coaster and hold on because it's going to be a ride. And
Oh, I
from
love it.
there, within the first year we end up selling over $1 million. What?
Oh
I
my
know.
gosh.
And then by year two, we were multi-million, and then we continued to grow after that. And so when people come
Amazing.
up and are like, Allison, I want to start an online business, but I don't have any money to sell any products. I'm like, okay, what's your problem? And the point is
Right.
what?
I'm sorry. I don't hear the problem in this whole equation.
Right. And it
Wow.
caused me to learn how to make money
Yeah.
without money. So then when I had money, I knew how to make money, right? It
Right.
was the process of being resourceful to be able to increase the money that's coming in.
You got to
So
get
that was,
scrappy. You got so scrappy. Literally, you scraps of vinyl lettering that you sold. I mean, it doesn't get more scrappy than that, you know?
actually, you want to hear another scrappy story?
I do, of course.
Okay, so no product, right? I go
Yeah.
behind my shed and I find this long stick of wood and I cut it up into blocks of wood.
No, you didn't.
And it's like I'm wiping off the cobwebs from this block of like this stick of wood. And I'm
Oh gosh.
out and I'm taking pictures on a broken down garbage truck because I don't have a fancy backdrop, right? And so I find this garbage truck that's sitting in the shade and I take pictures. My neighbor comes over, he's like, Allison, what are you doing? And I said, I'm selling blocks of wood. And he looked at me and he said, Allison, you're selling trash? And I was like, what? So he saw the trash in it, and I saw the
The
vision of
treasure.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, of taking those little blocks of wood and putting pictures on them, like Mod Podging them, wrapping them up, and giving them to grandma for Mother's Day. And how did I get that inspiration? Dun, 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 Pinterest, right?
Oh yeah.
And so I wasn't like diving down deep into the creativeness of Alice and Prince that, no, you got Pinterest, it'll give you all the answers.
Right.
And so, anyways, yeah, talk about a business that started from the ground.
Oh my gosh, literally, I love it so much. Oh my gosh, there's so many different things in there that I like want to dissect and evaluate and everything like that. But I'm seeing now too, like I know your story and I've heard some of this, but to hear it like in more of a linear form makes me realize why I'm drawn to you. And it's because my journey started very similar. Even though I had no idea who you were and I didn't know your story, it's really fascinating to me. We started selling products from like practically nothing too. And we were so enthralled. We made our first $1,000 and we are like, this actually works. Oh my goodness. And we built,
Yay.
it's amazing. You build businesses with almost nothing. And then
Yeah.
we're at that phase now in the growth phase of our business with like the Marvelous Moms Club brand and everything. We're like, now we have money and we know how to turn that into more. And it's just so exciting. It's like a game. It really is. Like you get to move to the next challenge level. And I'm kind of in the phase where when you said that and you compared it to a roller coaster ride, I'm like, I feel like right now I've been really comfortable being a bystander a little bit it's fun to watch, but I've never been one to pull away from a roller coaster. I hate missing out on fun. And so I think it's such a good comparison because I'm like, oh, you're right. I got to get in the roller coaster front seat and be willing to scream and go all the way through. And there's so many people who just won't be willing to do that. And that's kind of the example of people who make great things happen versus those who don't, is the willingness to be super uncomfortable and scrappy and push through when there doesn't seem to be an answer to how to make it happen. Right?
Yeah. And scream like on a roller coaster ride. What are you doing? You're screaming. You are more than welcome to scream on this entrepreneur journey, right?
Yeah,
We scream with excitement, preferably, and not like vulgarity.
Yeah.
But like we are on this ride, and like let the emotions come. And it really is a game. It really is a numbers game. And yes, it's so full of emotion, but when you're out there and you're testing your products, not all of my products sold, right? I'm just out there like basically taking a test. Did it work? Yes, it did. Did it work? No, it didn't. Okay, let's try it again. Let's try it again. Let's try it again.
Yeah.
And so it was just that continual consistency of testing and trying and testing and trying that got me to where I am today.
Well, and you've tested so many things, and I want to talk about that too. And this is another thing that I feel really similar to you, and you're like my soul sister. You had your hand in a lot of honeypots. You were running like 8 different businesses at the same time. What kind of helped you to redirect? Because you've really come a long way since I had an awareness of who you were. You were really heavy into How Does She and all of that. And I don't know how that plays into the story about when that was, but that's been insanely successful. There's not many people I know who haven't heard of How Does She. And like, it feels like I heard somebody say like everything she touches turns to gold. And if that were me, that's a reputation I want, not because I want to be like greedy, but it's like, there's something to that. So anyway, kind of give us a little background on how you were able to narrow in and how it really helped you to kind of find that elusive life balance, which I know it doesn't mean life's perfect, but there's a lot of loaded stuff in that question. Hopefully you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah. So what happens when I start a business is we have, I call it glitter syndrome.
Ooh.
And we start a business and we're like, oh, well, look at that shiny object, or oh, look at that business idea over there. And we can get our hands in so many buckets at one time that we don't even know where we're standing, right? And so my thing is, when you start a business, go all in, turn everything off. And yes, at one point I did have 8 businesses, but it wasn't that I started them all at the same time. So with How Does She, like I threw myself in there 100% in the beginning, and I didn't do anything else. And then you build processes and you automate it. And that's the key. Once you can start automating things, like we have a blog manager who's still with us today and is an absolute blessing rock star. And then with the Pick Your Plum site, that's like I threw everything that I had into there. Yes, I was still checking up on How Does She and still doing what needed to be done to help grow that business. But I was able to give everything to Pick Your Plum because I didn't need to give as much to How Does She anymore. And I got that up and going, processes and automation. And then when that happened, then I built another business. Okay. And then another business.
Can I just pause you right there? Because let's have a therapy session for Kirsten Tyrell just for a minute here, because I want to ask you, was there ever a layer of guilt with that you felt like you were cheating the system and having the automation set up? Because for me, I finally got to that point where it's like bliss. It's like, oh my gosh, this can totally happen on autopilot. I've put all this effort in, I've built this massive thing, but it's like almost a little bit hard to step away. And not that I don't trust that it's going to be fine. Maybe a little bit. It's like a fear that'll go away if I'm not personally hand-holding it. But like, do you remember having those feelings of fear of walking away and stepping into another zone? Or was the excitement over the new thing enough to trump that fear of walking away?
Can I say equal? And it depended on the moment, the second, the day, the week.
So I'm normal?
Yeah, you're totally normal. Like it's like businesses are like a baby. Like making a baby, like the fun part of making the baby, right? That's the dream. That's the excitement. And then you give birth to this baby, which is your business actually launching. And then you've got postpartum depression after you launch the business because it doesn't sell or doesn't do as much as it wanted to do, right? And then you're like, oh, maybe I should start another business, or maybe I should have another baby. Like we got all these ideas like running wild in our head. And that's totally 100% normal.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to combat that is you set up these systems and then you check in and you have key people like my team. Oh my goodness. I could not and would not want to run my businesses without my teams in place.
Yeah.
So like for instance, this business that I have now, it's called the Because I Can Clan.
Which I love, by
I
the
started
way.
teaching. I'm so like, I had no clue. I'll tell you what, God was like, Alison, just do one step at a time because I'm an introvert
Uh-huh.
and I hid behind my computer selling products online for 8 years.
Wow.
And so when I started to get out there in the public eye, I was like, I can't do this. No way. I haven't put on my makeup for a week. I think I'm wearing yesterday's clothes still. Right. And um, I did take showers, but I just would recycle my clothes and shake them out really well.
Right.
And if anybody's judging me right now, don't, because I guarantee you've done it.
I don't think
days
anybody on this platform is judging you at all. They're all like, yes, my soul sister. You know what? I remember seeing you at the ClickFunnels thing. This is like, that was a short conversation, but I got so much out of it. That's what I was referring to. And I remember you were just starting. You were like, I know it's time to step into being just Alison. Like I know, and I don't want to do it. It's so uncomfortable and it's so scary, but I know that's what I'm supposed to do next. And I just remember being like, wow, it's still scary even for her with all that she's built. I had never really, and then a couple of years later was in that same situation. And it's very difficult to not just hide behind, because you can make a lot of money without anybody even knowing your name. That's the crazy thing about the internet, right? But now I know we're like jumping all over the place. Now you're in the Because I Can clan and you're talking about your team.
Yes. Oh, yes. And that's okay. So let me go back to the fear.
Yeah.
Well, no. All right. So let me go back to the team. So when I started the Because I Can clan, I brought in a VA. Her name's Julie, and she is amazing. And I'm like, hey, I want to start something, and you've done some projects for me before, and I'm maybe want to move you into this project, but I have no clue what I'm doing. Can you just come on and sit in this class that I'm teaching? And she's like, sure. What do you want me to do? I'm like, nothing. Just listen. Okay. And then the next time I said, okay, I'm going to be teaching this again. Can you help me answer some of the questions? She's like, absolutely. And anyway, so we started building over and over and over again. And now she is my executive assistant, and I wouldn't want to run this business without her. Actually, right before you heard the conversation, I was voxing her, and she was helping me set up this podcast. And she's like, what would you do without me, Alison? And I was voxing her back. I'm like, I don't know what I would do without you.
Wouldn't be on this podcast, that's for sure.
Right? You bring in the people that support you.
Yeah.
So I know my vision. I know where I'm supposed to go. I'm confident that I can help other people sell products online. Mm-hmm. But where I'm lacking, I bring in people. So Julie comes in the very beginning. I'm like, I need help answering these questions on customer service so I can focus on teaching and educating and moving people forward. She's like, okay, got it. And then next thing, okay, I need people or I need someone to help them log in to their system. So I'm not having to say, oh, this is where you log in, or it's how you reset your password. And then you bring people on to support you so that you can stay focused on your vision. Mm-hmm. And this happens to, this was the fear thing that I was talking about. So just a couple weeks ago, I threw my first event, Clan Con Live is what it's called. And I'll tell you what, like I can't even plan a birthday party. And so to throw an event.
So good to know.
With 300 people, and I was blessed with severe stage fright to the point where people think that there's an earthquake happening. But I know my vision. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. But Satan is so good at like pulling in his army and trying to take me down. So 2 days before my first event ever, I had to pull over. I'm driving home from work and I had to pull over, and I just couldn't stop crying. And I sat in my car for a second and composed myself. And then I got home and my husband was like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm actually really struggling right now. And he said, come here, let me hold you. And so he held me for a little bit, and he's like, Alison, you know what this is. And I'm like, you're right, I do. Every time you are like I or anybody I know is about to do a new business, launch a new product, create happiness in other people, teach people, improve the world. Satan's army comes out in full force on you, and he's going to throw everything he can at you. He knows that he can't tempt me with like becoming an alcoholic. That just doesn't tempt me, right? So what is he going to get me? What is his tool for me? And a lot of the people that I deal with, it's self-doubt. Self-confidence, it's inadequacy, it's that imposter syndrome. Those are the tools that he uses to help or to try and get me to stop from moving forward and changing lives. I have people that I teach who they make a lot of money. Their husbands can quit. They're changing their lives. They're becoming happy. They're finding confidence in something they never thought they could do. Satan hates me. And so he goes all out on me.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the event, my husband knew the fear, and I was about to get on stage, and he just held me. And I said, Jared, oh, my voice might crack. Jared, I need you to hold my fear for me. I am not strong enough right now, and I need to be on that stage so I can step into my A game and be who the Lord needs me to be at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just hold my fear? And this is 2 weeks ago. I have been doing e-commerce, built multiple multi-million-dollar businesses, and I know that this happens. Like, I absolutely know this happens. And so we've built up a system to be able to protect me so that I can truly be who I am supposed to be able to serve people the best I can. And so my husband held that fear, and I got up on there, and I'll tell you what, I stepped into the Alison that I was supposed to be.
Wow.
And it was the most amazing feeling. And everybody, like, this isn't a brag thing. This is all about how you're not serving Satan by listening to that fear. You are serving God by walking into who he needs you to be to help people become the best they possibly can be. And he did that to me that day, and it was actually a very, very spiritual moment for me. And I know we're talking about business, but to me, business and God, like, I've made God my business partner, and he helps me to be the best that I possibly can be. And so it just goes hand in hand. So
well, I'm over here physically shaking because it's almost like it's a combination of a little bit of, I don't want to say it's PTSD, but it's like when you just know something at the core of your being is true. And like, I don't often find people I resonate with at the level I'm resonating with what you're saying right now. And I've been there. I'm like I think I'm feeling the fear that you felt when you know you're under attack. And that is real. And that is, it's actually really comforting to me to hear somebody else explain it from their perspective, and to kind of make sense of it too. Like, I've been aware of it and I know it's happening, but then I also think like, oh, maybe I'm not that big of a threat. Maybe I'm being silly, that I have this mission to perform, but I believe that 100%. And I'm so glad that you brought the spiritual element into it, because I 100%, this is never going to be a platform where we don't talk about faith and God, because I literally have said this to my husband after hiring a couple people who just weren't a great fit. And I feel like I poured a lot of money and energy into that helping my business. I finally was like, what am I doing? God is free, and God is the best business partner ever. And I'm aligning with him from now on.
Yes.
And everything changed in such a drastic way when I started doing that. And this call is kind of like that reminder of realigning with that and like keeping it centered. And it doesn't have to be a separation. It definitely goes hand in hand. So oh my gosh, I want to talk to you for like 4 more hours minimum. You are such a treasure trove of inspiration and knowledge. And so I want to kind of keep sharing a little bit, I guess, of the evolution of the Because I Can clan and like what you're doing now, because you sold Pick Your Plum. And I want to talk about too, especially because this is going to go on Marvelous Moms, how you've incorporated family. This is a step we're coming into. I feel like I'm just a few years behind your journey, but I'm following a lot of the same like, thresholds of learning that you've gone through. And so we have still young children. They're 9, 7, and 5, but I'm super excited to kind of incorporate their passion into our business. So what has that evolution looked like for you guys?
That was honestly my best business decision that I've ever done.
Wow.
Well, besides making God my business partner. When my daughters were 10 and 13, they were teenagers. And what do teenagers do? They're they like sleep. They discover that sleeping in is a cool thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Instead of getting up at 6 a.m. like your toddlers think is cool. Yeah. And so anyway, my husband and I are like, what are we going to do with our daughters to teach them responsibility? And so we gave them 3 choices. We said, number 1, you can move out of the house. Number 2, you can get have more chores, or number three, you can start a business. And of course, I mean, we helped to direct that question so they would choose the business one, right? Um, and so they were like, yeah, we want to start a business. And okay, I'll just sum this up. Long story short, they did the same processes I have done with all of my businesses. And within 9 months, they sold over $100,000.
Wow.
Now, I have a lot of people come up and say, well, Allison, it's because you're their mom. You totally helped them.
Yeah.
I promise you, I was already running 2 multi-million-dollar businesses. I did not
Wow,
have time
really?
to help them with their business. They had to do it. I gave them the outline, I gave them the steps to follow, and they had to do it. And their follow-up was customers saying, hey, where's my order? Or hey, where's this? Or hey, where's that? And so it pushed them to move forward. And then another thing that we did in that time is we said, Kate, now you have your own business. You need to start paying for your own stuff. We'll take care of your home, like we'll pay the house payment. You have to pay, make rent. We'll pay for your food and your school stuff, but all your clothes, all your shoes, your movies with your friends, all that kind of stuff, you need to start paying for that. And at first they were like, what? And our daughters are very, very kind, but they were a little frustrated with it. And they were like, Mom, Dad, no, none of our friends' parents make them pay for anything. And I was like, oh, now I know we're on the right path, right? Yeah. Step out, do something different from what other people are doing. And just to be able to see them value money now, like they know going to get an $8 an hour job, like some of their friends are doing, they're like, well, we don't want to do that. We know how to make money. Yeah. Why would I go work for $8 an hour? You know what I mean? And so they know, they are understanding the process of money more. And then I've got two little guys. They're 10 and 11. So probably I think 12 to 13 is actually the best time to start them from what I've found. So in a couple of years, we're going to start their business. They ask every day, Mom, is it business day today? And I'm like, no, buddy. You got to learn how to tie your shoes first, dude.
You got to be able to clean up your own bathroom before you can start a multi-million-dollar business. It's just an essential starting point.
Right?
That's really good to know. I think it's good for me to hear that age range too, because my kids have seen us step into an entrepreneurial role. My oldest has literally seen us go from living in a 2-bedroom apartment where dad goes to a job and mom does photography here and there, to us being a full-time family that we're both home all the time, and they know we have security. But I've been trying to figure out, because they were like, we want to be part of the family business. When we did e-commerce as well, they were very much a part of it. They helped us package and ship things and everything like that. But I feel this pull to help them start now. And I think there's probably some starting steps. What would you recommend to parents, especially entrepreneur parents whose kids have a desire? What are some things that they could do at an even younger age to prepare them for that? And also, I'm curious about this too. I think I can answer this in that they've earned their own money and they're kind of paying their own way. But when you become a family that has multi-million-dollar businesses and you have this financial security, what was the incentive to them to even want to start their own business at that young age? I know you guys kind of gave them an ultimatum, but did you kind of come up with that because you didn't want them to come by anything and not appreciate what you guys had as a family? Or did you have other... I'm sorry, I'm talking in circles. Do you know what I'm saying though? How do you avoid that pitfall of kids just feeling entitled and also nurturing their curiosity to be a part of something bigger?
Okay, so the first question is, how do you at a younger age get them their curiosity going? Is exactly what you're doing. You're letting them help you, and you start paying them. And so they are associating work with money. And then they're wanting that new Nintendo game. Okay, bud, it takes money, right? It takes money to buy those products. And so I'm going to give you the ability to be able to get what you want. You just have to work for it. Yeah. And so they're learning that work equals they get what they want, right? And starting out, to pay I don't know, a 7, 8, 9-year-old, $10, $15 an hour, it would be too much for them. And so what we do is we just started them out with a couple dollars an hour, which I might get some slack on that. But I'm their mom. I know it's best for my kids.
Right. Yeah.
And so they can manage $1 or $2, or we take them to Target where they can buy a $3 shirt and they're learning the value of that dollar
Mhm.
versus I got 15. I'm just going to go to Amazon and buy Legos all day long,
Right.
right? They're learning the value of it step by step at a time. And I think that's what helps with the entitlement.
Mhm.
So instead of them wanting that Nintendo set or that new iPhone or that whatever, they have to work to get
Yeah.
it. And then when we're at the store, they're like, Mom, can I have this? I'm like, absolutely. You just have to pay for
Mhm.
it. And they're like, oh, right? Like nothing. And we tell them all the time the money that mom and dad have made is not yours.
Mhm.
You have the skills to go make yours, but it's not your, you have to go out and earn
Yeah.
it. And so they're not I don't know, we're maybe sticklers about this, but like they have to learn how to work to get what they
Right.
want.
Well, I think that's really important. And that's what we've kind of been trying to figure out, the flow in our family of even if you have to have you have to have an assigned set of things that they can earn money doing, right? Like making your
Uh-huh.
bed isn't going to earn you. I mean, maybe for some people, it's not going to earn you an allowance here. There's basics you have to do. But I think
Right.
I'm definitely at the phase where I'm like, there have to have. The other day, my son, I said, I'll give you $1 to clean the patio. And he's like, $1? I don't need money. And I was like, oh, we're doing something wrong. He doesn't think he needs money because he thinks he's going to get everything he wants. And so that was like a huge indicator. It's time to create a job for you, even if it's not your own big full fledged business. It's a really good stepping stone. So I guess I'm on the right track, and I just wanted to overcomplicate it. And so thank you for clarifying it's not that difficult. You just teach them the value of work.
Yep, and I do, like, of my, kids, 2 of them are like, "Yeah, I don't really need money. I don't care. I'm comfortable where I'm at." And the other 2 are like, "We want this, we want this, we want this, we want this," right? And so each kid has its own personality, and we're not gonna pressure the ones that aren't quite interested in
Right.
it too hard. Eventually, they will be, right? But as parents, we have to know when it's right for our children.
Mhm.
They still might be at the Sesame Street level versus the New Kids on the Block level. I know, New Kids on the Block, right? And we have to know that as parents so that we can, do we give them sippy cups at this point or do we give them the New Kids on the Block t shirt at this point for their reward? And no matter what age they are, right? Every child is so different. And that's why we're blessed with knowing, what to do for each
Mhm.
child
Yeah, I love that.
or guessing and keeping our fingers crossed we made the right choice.
Nobody actually knows if we're doing this right, but we just have to hope. It's like the longest game ever, hoping that we win in 50 years. It's kind of stressful.
Yes, but of all the people to guess on that child,
Yeah,
you're gonna have the best guess for that
true.
child. Like, there was a reason why they were born into your
Yeah,
family.
yeah.
So we just do our best every single day, and if we screw up, oh, okay, let me tell you this one story. Sat all my kids down on the couch, all 4 of them, and I said, I just need to know, or I just need you guys to know that I'm gonna completely screw you up because I've never been a mom before in my life, but I can promise you I will always love you.
Oh,
So know that you're gonna go out into this world and you're just gonna be like you're not going to be like everybody else. You're screwed up. But know that I love you. And they were like, oh, mom, you're the best. And so that helped them to know that they don't have to go out and be perfect. And that because I'm not perfect and I'm doing the best that I can. And it comes down at the end of the day is how can I love my children the
mhm.
best and just move forward with that. Anyways,
Oh,
they talk about it all the
I
time.
love it.
They're like,
It's like getting ahead of it too. Like everybody's afraid they're going to screw their kids up. You might as well just call it out like it is and say, I'm just going to avoid
right.
years of therapy down the road. Like I've changed, I've made your life different because
That's right.
finally,
We should start taking a part of their, like, how you give like 10% to the
yeah,
church and 10% or 10% to saving, whatever it
yeah,
is, right? We should do like 10% to future
right.
therapy.
Advance paid for. This is when you turn 40 and you realize everything wrong in your life is my fault. Here's your therapy money. Oh, that's so funny. I love it. I love it. Calling it like it is. And it's so funny how much we stress ourselves out trying to get it all perfect when there's no possible way and we just have to do our best.
There's no way. And it really, like, it gives my children permission to go out there, do their best, but they know they don't have to be
Yeah.
perfect. They know that they don't have to get 100% on every single
Yeah.
test, right? As long as they're doing their best, even they make the occasional stupid decision, they're like, it's okay. And we just create this environment of just talk to us. Let's work this out.
Yeah.
just by being open and real and honest about
Yeah,
it.
I love it. Okay, so before I proceed for the next section, I have on your intake form, you have like an affiliate program for your courses or programs. So what is that exactly? So we can talk about it on here.
Okay.
And if there's a chance for me to sign up for that or whatever, we can put in the show notes. What's that look like?
Yes. Okay, so I created the 0 to 100K
Mhm.
system, and it is exactly that. It is the process that I took with my daughters to get them from $0 to $100,000. And it actually, my sister, as soon as my girls earned their money, my sister was like, I want to do it. And so she ended up making $129,000. And then I had some friends come in that said, Allison, what are you doing? And I was talking to them at a craft show and they were like selling $80 at a craft show. And I'm like, ay, not even paying your booth rent at that point,
Yeah.
right? And so we got them up online, we set them up, and they ended up doing $35,000 in 3 weeks.
Wow.
And so what this system does is, number one, it shows you how to find products that are selling. So many people think you have to have like the Shark Tank idea, that you have to be brilliant and creative and new. The girls, they sold scarves.
Mhm.
How many billions of scarves have been sold? Like I can't even you can't even go that high,
Right.
right? They just found that these infinity scarves were trending and they jumped on the bandwagon
Mhm.
and now they have enough money to pay for
It's
college
amazing.
in full. The next thing is people think you have to have a ton of time to do it. You can automate these processes. So instead of having to have a storefront with all these workers, you've got a website. My girls, they worked 3 to 4 hours a week
Wow.
because they were in school and they were at church activities and they were just being kids and they were able to make this happen. You set up your systems, you set up your automation, and you let your website, you let other things work for you to help you to grow your business. And then the last one is a lot of people are like, well, Allison, they probably just advertised on Pick Your Plum or How Does She? And I'm here to tell you they did not sell that first $100,000 with 0% Pick Your Plum.
Wow.
Like they did not do it. And the key to that is you use influencers. So, I mean, they're little squirts that are just trying to figure, well, they know how to figure out a phone, right? But I didn't want them on social media at that age. It was not, I just didn't want them there. And so I showed them how to leverage what they don't have. And so they would go out, reach out to influencers who did have a following and work with those influencers. And the influencers would direct traffic to their site and sell the products for them. And they were able to write checks out for $10,000 to a specific influencer.
Wow.
And like they literally had no clue how much money that was. We had to compare it to babysitting hours because they just did not understand how much money that
Yeah.
was. Uh, and so, anyways, that was like basically those are the secrets on how you can start an e-commerce business to make it successful. So that's what I teach in the 0 to 100K system. We call ourselves clanners because we are part of the Because I Can clan. Why? Because we can,
Yeah.
right? Like we have the ability. We have phones. We have computers. If you're listening to this podcast now, you can do
Right.
this, right?
Yeah.
And you step into the belief of, I can change my financial future because I want to. I can change, um, like I can't. We have a whole manifesto that you step into as you become a clanner that you take on as you walk into this role of empowerment and success and knowing that there is a way to do it. And it's actually built on like more of a community versus a course. So you don't walk in there and you don't have to feel alone. There is a community that supports you. You can ask questions. I'm on Facebook Live until I lose my voice every Friday answering everybody's questions. And we've got what we call super clanners coming in to support so no question gets unanswered.
Wow.
We've got email systems set in place because I built something that I wish I would have had when I first got started. It would have saved me years of frustrating moments or so much money because I actually give out all my vendor and manufacturer
Wow.
contacts in there too, just to help people get to the success faster. Uh, just I created what I wish I would have
That's
had.
amazing. Okay, so where can everybody go to get this? We will link to everything in the show notes of Marvelous Moms Club as well, you guys. But if you want to go check that out, what's the fastest way for them to jump over there?
So the masterclass that I teach is 0-100k.com, 0-100k.com. That's where you can get right into the masterclass, learn more about it. But if you want to find all my other stuff, it's under Alison J. Prince. I put the J in there because there's other Alison Princes out there. And for SEO purposes, I put the J in there. So Alison J. Prince.
Cool. Oh my gosh. Kate, guys, we will link to everything. Go check that out on the Marvelous Moms notes or on the KirstenTyrell.com notes. And you guys, if your cup is not overflowing right now from inspiration and just ideas, like what I love about this and you is it revs me up. And I know it's revving people up, and people need to continuously be given permission. And what I really want to like refocus on as we finish this out is kind of where we started, bringing it full circle. You almost quit in 3 days because it wasn't working. And you were 3 days, like you were that close to it turning into multi-million-dollar businesses, not just a business. And so guys, really think about that as you're listening, is how close are you to something huge, even if it's not financial, but it's like a goal that you've had. Are you quitting too soon, and are you not seeing it through? Because you literally have all the control. Stop giving your power away. Stop thinking you're not capable, because you are. And Alison is perfect illustration of what you can do if you give yourself a little bit longer to make those things happen. So
yes, don't stop. And you'll keep telling yourself, you'll be a week into your business and you're like, I quit. And then a month into it and I quit. And a year into it and I quit. Like, you will always be saying, I want to quit your entire process. Those aren't your thoughts. That's Satan trying to discourage you. So learn how to kick those thoughts out of your head and move forward.
I love it so much. Guys, come back to this episode anytime you need to pick me up, because I think it's got all the things, got all the components you need to get out of a rut. Thank you so much, Alison, for sharing your heart and your mind with us. It's been so wonderful to have you here. And I hope everybody goes and follows you on social media, because you're kind of that bright spot that people need in their day. And I appreciate you so much.
You're sweet. Thank you.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode. Have a great day. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you want to take action right now, you're feeling inspired and you're feeling enlightened, and you really want to own this role as a marvelous mom, go to the website marvelousmomsclub.com/me and create your own personal Marvelous Moms manifesto. That is a tongue twister. marvelousmomsclub.com/me. You go fill in some great information, and in the end, you'll have a beautiful manifesto to display where only you can see, or the whole family can see, where you can really, really own your role as a marvelous mom and step inside those goals and those ambitions and dreams that you have to become an even more marvelous mom to your beautiful family. So again, marvelousmomsclub.com/me. We will see you over there.